again, everyone. I've got an Arsenal legend next to me.
I won't go that far. I'm more of invisible rather than invincible. I'm with George. Make sure you watch What You Call It podcast.
You heard. Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host GB. I'm in an amazing mood because I've finished work for the week, birthday tomorrow, and I've got a 3-day weekend. Happy me. If you want to squeeze in happy birthday in the comments below, that'd be much appreciated. Gotta get it in there. But we're not here to celebrate my birthday. We're here to have a fun chat with today's guest, an international superstar all the way from Dubai currently. Please give up for Jay Lamrod. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
Very well, thank you. And I just want to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you have a phenomenal weekend and a fantastic one to remember.
I was going to say, if I remember it, then yeah, I'll be happy. But fingers crossed, mate. But no, I appreciate it, right? Appreciate that. Normally, I begin the chat by talking about the beginning, what got you into wrestling. But because it recently happened, I want to start by talking about you winning the tag team belts in WrestleFest DXB. I want to know, that was in the tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a finals to a tournament that had been happening. It started in September. It had been happening for some time, and then just this weekend actually was the finale. So it's where it finished.
Awesome. If you could tell me more about that, how did you feel going into the match? How did you feel after it? I want to know about your tag team partner, and obviously I want to know about your goals as a tag team. Now you're champions.
You know what? This is actually going to be a spin on a lot of your questions, actually. So I'll give you some backstory. The tournament culminated on Saturday the 11th. Was it the 11th? I can't remember. But anyway, just this past Saturday was when the tag team tournament finished, basically.
Yeah.
And what it was going to be was it was going to be one team that had made it to the finals, and then myself and my tag team partner, who's called Shaheen. He's wrestled internationally. He's wrestled top UK talent from Dan Maloney to Mark Andrews, you name it. He's wrestled, and he's a homegrown talent. He's from the UAE. He's from Dubai, literally. So he's homegrown talent. Him and myself, we make a very dynamic, great tag team. We bring a lot of different tools to the table. So we had made it to the finals. Another team had made it to the finals. Halfway during the show, this is spoilers, by the way, halfway during the show, the other tag team doesn't quite make it because they get attacked by these YouTubers who have 3 million subscribers known as the Haroon Twins. If you don't know them, I mean, I'm sure once you look them up, you'll realize that you know them probably very well, because they're the ones that do the WWE moves in the water park, WWE moves on the
I think I might have seen like clips on TikTok on like that's been uploaded from the YouTube.
Exactly, those are them. And wow, so they eliminate this other tag team and insert themselves into the tag team finals. So it's me and Sheen versus the Haroon Twins. These guys are literally, they're not just YouTubers, they're athletes. They are really good at what they do. They can move around the ring. They know exactly.
Not all just flash then.
It's mental. It's completely mental, because I didn't expect them to be as good as they were. And I knew how good they were going to be. But in my head, I'm like, when push comes to shove and you're out there in front of 250, 300 people, it's a completely different story to just doing, to just go in a swimming pool. But man, these guys
stepped up. They stepped up.
Not only did they step up, bro, they kicked me and Shaheen's ass. They messed us up big time. They brought it. That's the reality. They brought it, and they did really, really good. And it was one of those moments where it's like, look, if you're dealing with an athlete, it doesn't matter what their background. Like, these guys, they play football in their spare time, and they're really good at it. And you can see that in the way that they move in the ring, their feet coordination, how they're able to protect themselves. So it's complete madness. The show was nuts. They ended up doing some twin magic. This is more spoilers, by the way. They ended up doing some twin magic. They thought that they beat us. They had their moment of celebration. The referee realized that they hadn't actually beat us because they did some dodgy twin nonsense.
Yeah.
Me and she rise up to the occasion. We beat them. We're celebrating in the ring. We're happy, loving life. And then another tag team comes in and they actually had an opportunity. They had these gold medallions that give them an opportunity to face for a title at a point in
Oh,
time.
nice. Quite similar to like
With the
Money in the
Money in the
Bank.
Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they cashed it in on us and took the title. So I don't even have the belt on me right now. Believe me,
I'm crushed, man. I'm crushed.
yeah, believe me, I would have the belt on my shoulder right now if I was holding it, but not even holding it. Lost it the same
Oh
night.
man, like you seem so excited as well about this as well. Like I'm
You know what I
devastated,
mean?
man. I can see it in your face, pain, but I can feel like there's a hunger now. Like, oh, that's fine. It's only temporary. That's fine. They can have their moment. We'll win it back.
Yeah.
We'll get it back.
Well, here's the other spin to your question. So, what the follow up question that you had was, what are your goals as a tag team?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll be honest. I've been wrestling my own matches with health kind of injuries, a few little bits and bobs like that. And a few months ago, man, I had a pretty severe injury where I basically couldn't walk. So, and it'd been ongoing for a few years, but it got to the point where I literally couldn't walk. So we go in, we do the MRI. The doctor's like, you've got two bulging discs, your L4, L5 and your L5, S1. But the L4, L5, which is a little bit further up, just above the tailbone, like the L5, S1 basically is the tailbone. It's just above it. But there's one notch up from that. They were like, that disc has a tear going down the middle. So you've got like bone, disc, bone, and the disc is like torn like that. And they were like, you can't even fall over if you're like using the Hoover. You can't go jet skiing. You shouldn't even sit down too quick. Don't have anything that's like impacting.
It's like, alone like wrestling. It's a miracle that you can actually just walk.
Right. So I was like, well, that's interesting. So obviously I kind of kept it to myself. I knew at this show this Saturday, you have to go all out. You can't not go all out, especially when you're in that ring. You have to give it your absolute. And I was like, screw it. You know what? I'm going to go all out. If something goes wrong, we'll figure it out as and when it happens, if it happens. But if I make it out the other end, it's going to be my last one. So I made it out the other end and I respectfully shook hands with my tag partner, Shaheen. And I was like, you know what? That's my last one. So for the foreseeable, obviously never say never because it's wrestling and everyone has to say that.
So this is the first, isn't it? So basically what you're telling me now hasn't gone out yet, as far as I'm aware.
No, hasn't gone out yet. Hasn't gone out yet. A few guys know, obviously the twins know, Shaheen knows, a few of the people backstage know, but from an announcement perspective, this is absolutely the first time I've seen it.
I mean, that's mad. I mean, that's devastating in a way. Like, I mean, it is devastating. The fact that you potentially might not be doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you had the match, and then obviously you had the moment. It was taken away from you, but now you might not get back in the ring. I mean, I don't know what to say. I know it's quite rare for me to say this, but I'm lost for words. I'll be honest. I mean, I actually didn't have a clue, by the way. We chatted before arranging this, and I didn't have a clue. I'm not a very good liar. I can't play poker for shit. So. How'd you feel? Sorry, just to kind of throw it off a bit there, but how'd you feel, mate?
You know, it took some time to come to terms with it. But the truth is, it was one of those things where it's like, I don't know what if the next bump I take could be, a serious one. It could be really bad. And you don't want to be messed up to that extent in the middle of the ring and try and figure out where to go from there. So it's a difficult decision, but it's kind of taken a few months to unfold. It wasn't something that I made, and I was kind of took it easy the last few shows. I was sort of doing different things. I was working with different people, taking it a bit easier. So I wasn't really going crazy in terms of the athleticism side of pro wrestling. I wasn't killing myself. And then this weekend, I was like, I'll go all out. I'll do everything I need to do with the idea that it's probably going to be my last one. So I'll be honest, I'm kind of happy with it. I'm grateful with the Haroon twins, who are obviously very well known on YouTube. I'm grateful I got to do it with my tag team partner, with Shaheen, who I've worked with numerous times as well. So he's an up and coming sort of star
in a country that is like it's growing for its wrestling. Like it's really populating, obviously, with the fans and the talent, such as yourself and like MK Traction I've had on before. But I mean, that's shit to hear, man. But look at it this way. Like, I mean, I'm not a wrestler, fair enough. But what we've seen with people like Edge, Page, Daniel Bryan, they've all been told you'll never do this again. I mean, it might not happen overnight for yourself, but just Yeah, sorry, man. That's well thrown me off.
Well,
That's fuck.
what, like from a physical standpoint, I've always been an athlete, and I always,
Yeah,
it's not like I'm still gonna keep fit in that sense. I
yeah,
just need to give my lower back impact. So
yeah,
I'll do another MRI in a year's time, maybe 2 years time. I'll
yeah,
just keep checking as time goes on. And look, if it happens that it heals and it's all good, great. But if it's not healed, then I need to be happy with that as well. So you because you can't obviously sit there and wonder what if this, that,
yeah.
otherwise it
But I mean, at least
will
you
go
got this
insane.
far, and the fact that you've had the moment as well, and yeah, sorry, man, I didn't really expect that. I don't know what to say now, but
Man.
you can also still be involved in wrestling as well. I mean, fair enough, not be able to do it in the ring, but you can still provide help, assistance, and train, pass on the knowledge that you've gained. Obviously, you wrestled in the UK. Like I'm going to touch on that in a minute.
Yeah.
Like, don't let your experience and your knowledge and what you've achieved go to waste. That's me saying that not just as a host, but as a fan.
Absolutely. No, that is the goal now. So to really finish off
Hmm.
that sort of conversation, when you say goals, my goals now is to just continue contributing to wrestling and the wrestling scene in Dubai is
Yeah.
super young. I mean, I was here from day one when we had ordered the ring and the ring had arrived. Here I helped the guys set it up, and I was here on the first show, and we've from the very beginning we've kind of set it all
Yep.
up and worked together. And,
It can only get bigger.
helped.
It can only get bigger, man.
Exactly.
But no, I
Exactly. That's
appreciate
the
you telling me
goal.
that, man. I do genuinely appreciate telling me that. What I'll do is I'm going to rewind the clocks and we'll go back to the beginning of your career and actually what led you getting into wrestling in the first place. What was your first exposure to professional wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So obviously born and raised in London, so lived there my
Over
whole
there?
life. Very first wrestling training session, I was about 13. Yeah, I was about 13. It was like late 2004, early 2005, and it was
Yeah.
in East London near Plaistow. Is it Plaistow near Mile End?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
that.
man. Yeah. Near Stratford,
There
that
was,
bit.
there
Yeah.
was a promotion called RBW, Revolution British Wrestling,
Hmm.
and the coach was an old school guy that came from NWA Hammerlock. His name was George Castano. George Castano. He was old school, super
The name
old
does ring
school.
a bell, but I just can't put
Yeah.
like a name to the face sort of thing.
This is 90s, guys. This is
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. So I grew up watching FWA. That was like the first British
Frontiers
wrestling
wrestling,
that
nice, man. Like Johnny
yeah.
Storm and Tony Flash, yeah, man.
And a lot of these FWA guys like Doug Williams
Hmm.
and my coach later on, who was Justin Richards, these guys all came from the Hammerlock world. So I
Yeah.
was basically one generation after them. They were like the late 90s, kind of early 2000s guys. And then I started in the mid to late 2000s. So I was a little bit younger. Well, I was quite a bit younger than them, but I grew up watching them. So it was always a big sort of I remember 2004 in Enfield watching a FWA event, seeing Ross
Mm.
Jordan for the first time, RJ Singh, and he was a big
Love
inspiration to
RJ
me. And
Singh, friend of the
yeah,
show, great guy, love him.
yeah, it's crazy. And that's 2004, so that's almost 20 years ago. So yeah, that's how I got into the business. Obviously, typical WWE fan. I watched WCW on Channel 5 back in
Yeah.
the late 90s. I watched the Sunday Night Heat every Sunday at
Channel
4
4,
p.m. Four.
yeah,
Yep. So that the WCW, I think it was Thunder, and it was like 7 p.m. and it was
yeah,
after a TV show called Fort Boyard. It was a game show that was at 6 p.m. So at 6, I'd watch this random game show, and then at 7, I'd watch WCW Thunder. Mad that I can still remember that. But yeah, that's how I got in. And then in 2005, took my first class, did on and
mm,
off training. I was a backyard wrestler, like most kids as well, just putting my friends through tables, putting each other through, crazy stuff. Then finally was able to work a live show, I think in 2009, 2010,
hmm,
at the sort of LDN had a school at the time, and that's where Justin Richards was coaching us. The late 2000s actually, and Justin Richards is just the absolute best coach ever. I remember the first class I walked into of his, and I was 16 at that time, and yeah, I remember him shouting. He said, "Fitness, you either have it or you're going to get it." And I remember like looking at my mate at the time, thinking, "Shit, like, what? We need to get out of here. I need
boot camp.
to find, I need to find the public toilet, like
Yeah.
sneak, crawl out of a window or something." But
So
we
we can't
stuck
jump
with
off
it.
ladders then, or like still chairs, like
Yeah,
bollocks.
exactly. but we stuck with it, honestly. And you know, and the discipline that he taught me, I applied in the gym.
Hmm.
So carried on lifting weights, carried on working on my athleticism as a real athlete, someone that can move, someone that you know is strong at the same time. So I never that discipline that we were taught in the ring, I kind of applied it to multiple different things. It wasn't just wrestling, which in the you know in the long term really helped out massively. And yeah, it was on and off, and then finally. I was sort of wrestling, doing little bits and bobs here and there in the UK, and then finally sort of a few years down the line, when I fast forward down to 2018, I'm living in Dubai. I don't know anyone out here. It's just me and the missus. We, you know, got no friends, no nothing. We just
Yeah.
at a drop of a hat, basically, we're like, we want to change the scenery. And then that's when I slowly started getting in touch with the wrestling guys out here, and they didn't really have a scene. They were doing a few bits and like a few bits themselves, but they didn't have an active scene
But no,
where
like
it was a
real branding
legitimate
sort of thing,
promotion.
no real massive following as it is
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually had a hand-me-down ring that was given to them by QPW, which is in Qatar. So QPW's got a bit more kind of, I suppose, back in, and maybe they had a couple rings. I don't know what their situation was, but they
Yeah.
had an old ring and they gave it to guys that were living here. So they were kind of wrestling in that. And then finally, we obviously the pandemic happened. Then soon after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, sort of once it kind of fizzled out, a ring actually had finally come over here. They'd ordered one of the guys ordered a ring, which was amazing of him, and it came. It finally reached the port here, and I was there the day that we unloaded it and set it up for the first time, and that
Mhm.
I think was what I want to say it was July 2020. That was when it happened. And from that point on, I would say it's the beginning of in my opinion, the beginning of a real scene that
Mm.
we can sink our teeth into
We can make
in
this our
not just
own.
Dubai.
It's not a hand me down.
Yeah,
This is ours. It's our ring. We're
it's
gonna like
ours.
expand this.
Exactly. It's ours. There's enough guys to have a roster
Mm.
here. There's enough people with experience from all over the place at this point, by that point. So it was finally something where it was finally coming around. And yeah, and it's funny because I talk about how I took my first bump in 2004 or 5 or whatever it was, and I did all these odd shows here and there. But the truth is, my career really started here, because
Mm.
here was where I really found myself. And that happens a lot to a lot of people. They kind of they don't know who they are, they don't know what they're
Mm.
doing in one place, and then go to another place and they discover themselves, they find themselves, you know, who they are really as a person. And
Yeah.
that's what I found here. I found a place where it was young, it was fresh, it was new, and I could be the person that I wanted to be. I really was able to express myself in that way, and find out more about myself. So we started from that point in 2020 up until now. I
Mhm.
would say this time last year was where the major shows started happening, where it's in the venue that we've been at since March of last year. And
Yeah.
that's the shows that have been known as WrestleFest DXB. And that's
Mhm.
really where it started, because once WrestleFest DXB started in March of 22, so it's literally next month's our 1 year anniversary. From that point on was when international eyes started taking notice.
Yeah.
People, obviously one name that I'm sure we'll talk about is Progress.
Yep.
Progress took notice. Like, what is this? What is this? It's a great venue, hungry fans. It's not just, we're not just, I mean, obviously I've wrestled in front of 10 people, but we're doing shows thankfully in front of 200, 250 and more. It's growing each show, which is
Mm.
really exciting to see, really exciting to see. And the capacity of the venue we're at is 400. So I keep making jokes every time we're there. I keep saying, I'm like, once we hit the capacity, we need to find somewhere new. We need to,
Yeah.
we need to
No,
go
absolutely
somewhere
though,
else.
man. Definitely. And that's the thing I noticed about the progress relationship with Dubai. I mean, before they did the
Yeah.
official show, I think it was the end of last year. They actually had Spike Travay went over and defended the world title there, and then they had other wrestlers will come over and do matches, and then they did the show, and it caught a lot of attention, and so that's like mainstream attention for you guys and exposure as well for Dubai and the talent that people may not necessarily know, but now they know, or they've got an idea of, oh, actually, this is obviously that's actually more options now to watch, and now Progress are affiliated with them. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty cool. It's eye catching as well, and I think the show was pretty well received as well. And you was involved in the show, wasn't you? I don't. You did wrestle, or was it backstage? You was involved in.
The Progress show, I was backstage because that was the week before that was when I was in hospital because of my lower back. So that was at that point when that show took place, I'd more or less already made my mind up. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm going to take it easy a little bit, and at some point, in the next month or two, I'm going to have to call it a day.
yeah.
So I'd pretty much that was December 10th. That was the Progress show was December 10th. So it was
Hmm.
literally 2 months ago. And yeah, so yeah, but it was a great show, phenomenal show.
Yeah.
Obviously, the talent came over here. There were some guys that have been here before, like Dan Maloney.
Hmm.
He's a fantastic guy, and
He's quality.
he's the
I like that
best in
man.
the country. Yeah, he's the best in the UK, in my opinion. And to see him come here multiple times
Hmm.
is great. It's great. It's always a good time. It's always positive vibes.
Is there any? I don't know. Like, can you give any like hints? Will Progress be back after the success of the first show?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can tell you what I know and what I think is going to happen.
Yeah,
What I
that's cool,
know is
man.
what I know is absolutely nothing because they nobody would.
But no.
But what I think is going to happen is
Yeah.
they're probably going to come back multiple times. I
Mhm.
think it's going to be something where it's like it's either going to be every other month or it's going
Mm.
to be every quarter or something like that. It'll be like every few months or something.
Mm.
Whatever makes sense to them the most, or it
Yeah,
might just be
just easier with
fun.
travel and stuff and helping out the talent. So I think one or two is obviously easy. They can do their own arrangements, but multiple people is not as
Exactly.
easy. But I'd like to
Exactly.
see
Yeah.
talent from Dubai come over here. That's something I'd like to see.
100%. 100%. And to be honest with you, we are seeing that more and more now because these
Mm.
guys who've gotten their reps in and they've gotten their name out there, guys like Shaheen, MK,
Yeah.
Nova, Fires, these guys, I mean, they are working internationally. In fact, right now they were, I think Shaheen's going to Canada, if I'm not mistaken. MK Nova Fires, they're in the UK right now, and
Oh,
they've
no.
got shows.
Oh, no.
Yes,
That's cool, man.
everyone's doing
No,
something.
shout out.
Everyone's doing
They're really
something.
cool guys. I really like them.
Yeah, yeah. So they're getting out there and they're
Yeah.
growing and they're getting more and more known in the industry, which is fantastic to see because it all started here. You know, it started here. Really, the names I just mentioned, the five of us were just grinding, just putting in the work, just killing it, killing our bodies, doing everything we can, and then now to see that
And you're seeing the
expand,
rewards
see
now
it.
for your sacrifices and all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it, and it's paying off. I mean, I know unfortunately you've had to
100%.
retire, but there's still enjoyment you can get out of this easily.
100%. Yeah, no, I'm happy. And I'm happy to see them do their thing as well
Yeah.
and go abroad. It's amazing to see them succeed. And I hope they succeed even more. They deserve it. You know, I think everyone that's out here that's grinding away deserves it. And I
Yeah.
think we're slowly starting to see that come to fruition. We're
Mhm.
slowly, it's been 1 year. I think the second year is going to be
It's going to take
crazier.
time still, but obviously, from this development already, it's things are happening.
Yeah, I mean, when you start a business, you don't turn a profit on day one. You're probably at a loss for the first year or two or whatever. Like that's
Yeah.
normal when you're running a business because you're investing in it and you're nurturing it so that it can grow. But the thing is, once it does grow, once it does reach that point,
Mhm.
then you're laughing. Then it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that, and I really see it around the corner. There's a lot of endorsements coming from really positive places, like for example the Dubai Sports Council, which is it's like a government body that basically takes care of everything sport related. They really support in terms of endorsing WrestleFest, they really support us because it's one of a kind. It's not like there's loads of wrestling promotions everywhere trying to do stuff. It's just one. It's just one in the country, So they like the initiative. They like the fact that it's forward thinking. They like the fact that it's creative, and they're getting out there doing something original that's not been done before in this country. You know what I mean? Everything's new, everything's young, and if you can do something in a positive way while it's early and leave a good mark, so that 20, 30, 40 years down the line, you're looking back on it thinking, wow, like that's great.
We did that.
You'll find that a lot of institutions will support that because you're forward thinking, you're thinking into the future. It's the same way that in the UK, we look back on World of Sport with so much respect because
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
what it was. 30, 40 years ago. It was up until the 80s. It was on TV, every single day.
Wembley
People
Arena.
watch it religiously. Yeah. So that's what these guys are doing here now. What we've been doing for the past year is pretty much that. We're laying the foundation for a scene in pro wrestling on this side of the world. And it's independent wrestling, and it's got wrestlers from all over the world coming over. I think, in fact, at the next show, there's a guy, one of the guys Shaheen's facing is from New Japan, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
I need to look into
That's
it. I saw the
proper
poster. Yeah, so it's from all directions. There's from all directions, because it's a fertile ground. Like there's opportunity for growth. It's just never been done before. So now's the time.
The fact that
I
you're
think
behind this, you're spearheading this, and you're involved in it. You must make it smile. Like it's like when like a baby grows and you see it, like first walk. And I'm comparing that to wrestling, but you get my point.
Yeah, I keep telling the promoter, I keep saying it every opportunity I get. I'm like, it's crazy how much opportunity there is and how it's grown and where it's come. I was in the main event of the first show. I'd gone in as a champion of some kind, and to see where it's come now, crazy shit. Because I'm never going to stop going on about that now. And the bigger this gets,
no, that's cool. I can see the passion. I can see it, and I think the listeners, when they watch this or hear this or whatever, they'll be able to know that you are passionate about this, and the fact that you're seeing 100%. It grow. And I mean, okay, you've got to take a bit of a sideline, but it's developing. It's awesome, and I love this. That's why I love this doing these chats. When I see someone's passion, it makes me inspired. I'm not going to say I'm going to start my own wrestling company in Essex, but but the influence it rubs off, and I like that, man. And I can see why that you being involved. It's the talent want to succeed as well, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, it really is, and there's a lot of plans for the future. The problem is they don't tell me all of them, probably because I'll say it out loud. But like, I know that there's
we've already had some spoilers in this episode.
yeah. Well, they're theories. That's the thing. They're just theories right now. But I know that there are. I've been putting it out there loads that they should go abroad at some point. They should go international and get it out there known. Obviously, there's a lot of room here to grow in terms of venues as well. Potential venues that are more well known is an opportunity.
The city is beautiful. I mean, I've never been there before. I've seen just stunning.
Yeah, it's incredible here. It's incredible. It's safe.
Got to take it off one day. Got to take it off, man. One day.
100%. And it's the weather's beautiful right now. It's phenomenal right now, and where in some other parts of the world it might be a little bit cold, but it's yeah. If you're here and you see the sunshine, it's a blessing.
Ah, nice, man, nice. I'm gonna ask one last question. It's a fun one. You can make it about wrestling if you want to, but it's 3 dream dinner guests. Past to present, dead or alive, fact or fiction. Up to you, mate. You're the host. You are going to be making them a meal. I'm going to talk about the food, but basically 3 people you want to chew the ear off. Have a discussion. Ask them things you never think you're going to be able to ask them. If you can give me a reason as to why you want them there, that'd be awesome. But 3 guests, go.
Damn, that's interesting.
It's always different answers. No, I've not had one that's been the same.
I would say one option would be Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
Good choice.
I'd want to get inside his brain, just from a business standpoint, like just trying to understand like what he's thinking, feeling.
Don't forget one of his cards as well, just like
not at a standpoint, but I don't,
well, and badly for you, but so we've got that chat in. It'll be fun.
Genghis Khan.
Nice.
Because he's crazy ruler, but he did a lot of like interestingly smart things during the time that he was ruling the Mongolian Empire. I'll pick one that's fictional. I would say Goku from Dragon Ball Z, because I feel like
I'm not going to pretend. I'm not saying I dislike Dragon Ball Z, by the way. Like I know who he is, but I can't take any quotes or anything. I've never really watched it, but I like Transformers and Pokemon, but never could get into it. But it has a massive following, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to love that one.
His character was he was a positive guy, but he was also very competitive. He was competitive as well. I'd want to. because we're having dinner, right? So I'd want to see how he eats, and I kind of
Yeah.
want to push that. I'd want to push his buttons and see what happens.
I like it, man. I like it. Proper thought about it as well. It's just like, yeah, Goku can sit there, Patrick Bateman, Genghis Khan. No, that's cool, man. That's some good options. Yeah, man. That's been fun. I think obviously we've got some spoilers. I've said a few times when someone says something that I always like to acknowledge it. That's never been said, but I think for what you told me, it's kind of genuine shock. Like that, didn't expect that. We've been speaking for a bit, arranged this interview and have a little chat, but wow. As we are at the end of this interview, thank you for your time as well. I know there's a bit of a time difference and we have to reschedule, but much appreciated. Is there anything you'd like to say? Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to get off your chest? The opportunity is yours. Platform is yours, my man. Go for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. It's great talking to you, and you know, wrestling connects us from all around the world, quite
100%.
literally right now.
Definitely.
So I'm very grateful for that. The second thing I want to say is 1 month from now, we are having our 1 year anniversary show at WrestleFest DXB. It's celebrating 1 year, and it's like I mentioned, like this has been something that has been we've been grinding, and now we have something where we can turn around and say we got 1 year of monthly wrestling shows with consistent, like, top performances like what you mentioned with the Progress World title being defended on one of the shows when Spike defended against MK, consistent when with Dan Maloney coming back multiple times facing Shaheen, having these crazy matches, like consistent with me being there, you know. But I'm just kidding. Me being there, no, but just really seeing how far it's come over 1 year, and next month is our 1 year anniversary. So if I can urge anyone listening to this to go to Instagram at WrestleFest DXB. DXB is the initials for Dubai. And if there's any, you know, I would urge you to connect. We live stream a lot of our shows on Twitch. So oftentimes, even if you're not in Dubai, you've never been to Dubai, you don't have a plan on coming to Dubai, you can still watch the live stream and actually see the show in real time.
Feel like you're part of it and be there. You know, well, obviously not physically be there, but obviously with the show, when you get sucked into a good show, you know, you're just, oh shit, that's really good.
100%. In fact, the most recent show we did, we had 360-degree cameras installed with 4K quality that were being live streamed, which is, I don't even know, like, the technology as to how, like, what it means when you're watching it, but it's nuts. Like, but it's good quality stuff. And if you like watching wrestling and you want to watch, you know, a lot of these people come over, whether it's from, you know, the UK or Japan or wherever it is, the States. I really urge you to watch the 1 year anniversary show. I'll certainly be there. I might not necessarily be on the card, but I'm definitely going to be there. So
you'll be involved, definitely. Your fingerprints will be on the show.
Yeah, 100%. And make sure you follow the wrestlers, you know, that are out here grinding away, because it's such a young scene. What you're witnessing is history. You are witnessing history. You're witnessing the foundation, the building blocks of a scene that 2, 5, 10 years from now, you'll look back and be like, whoa, those were the early guys. Those were the early people that got into it, you know? So, and there'll be a sense of appreciation for that. So if you can support your favorite wrestler, if you can support someone that you might relate to or you might enjoy watching that's on this side of the world, I urge you to do it. So much good talent out here, like the names I mentioned, and so much more as well. It's exciting times. So stay peeled, stay tuned, subscribe to.
I don't think that smile has left your face during this interview, especially when you're talking about it, man. I like that, man. I like that. But that's cool. I'll put the details. The details will be in the description below. Don't worry about it, my man. In case anyone didn't make a note of it, I'll make sure they follow it on the description below. I'm trying again. In the handles, description below. Also, they can keep up to date with yourself. I'll add your details as well, so they can keep up with you. Obviously, I know you're big into your fitness. Every time I see in your post, makes you feel fat, but fair play to you, my man. But no, mate, it's been an absolute great chat, my man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. For everyone that has listened to this episode, thank you. There'll be more content coming out next week. As for the weekend, I'm officially done. Birthday, as I mentioned in the beginning. Comments, feel free to do that. But if you can like this video, subscribe to the account. That'll be much appreciated, so I can continue bringing on awesome guests like Jay and having a fun chat. And obviously, groundbreaking stuff might come out, like retirement. So that was a bit of a shock, by the way. But for now, everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from my next guest.
Hey there, it's Lexi Lux, the toxic bitch, and you're watching What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah.